Higher consciousness is a state of elevated awareness and perception in which a person has a deeper understanding of the nature of reality, the self, and various spiritual aspects of life that play an important role in one's personal evolution and psychological development. As you move through each of the levels outlined below, you will make major leaps and bounds towards full self-realization and ultimately enlightenment. Life is not just a random series of events that happen because you did it right or you did it wrong. Instead, it is an intelligent unfolding that is revealing itself to you all day long, bringing you step by step from unconsciousness into a state of higher consciousness. Take a moment now to feel how different that is from the way you usually perceive life, as something happening to you that needs to be controlled, fixed, and changed. Imagine what it would be like to let go of the whole game of resisting life and instead to trust it. In this trust, you could then open to it, listen to it, and grow from every encounter. The 6 levels of consciousness. Your life is a journey from unconsciousness to higher consciousness. Michael Beckwith, minister of the Agape Church, describes this evolution in 4 phases. I have added 2 more. Life happens in you and life happens for you, and call them the 6 phases of higher consciousness. Life happens to you. Life happens by you. Life happens in you. Life happens for you. Life happens through you. Life is you. Let us take a few minutes to explore each level of consciousness. I invite you as you read to keep on checking in with yourself. You are being given important information in this article. Remember that the most powerful thing you can do for your healing is to have your attention and your experience together, even as you are reading this, and no matter what it brings up for you. The first level of higher consciousness. Life happens to you. For a good deal of your life, you have probably lived like most human beings, feeling that life is happening to you. Life is so big, and if you are honest with yourself, you never really know what is going to happen next. You wake up one morning and your heart is light and happy, and the next day you're unsettled. Bosses fire you, the flu debilitates you, people you love reject you. Every day you get a little older, and death is always lurking around the corner. So it is understandable that the more unconscious you are, the more often you feel like a victim to life. When you live in the belief that life is happening to you, you often view it as a possible threat. So you stay caught in your head, finding yourself lost in your storyteller that resists, reacts, defends, and explains, hoping to figure everything out. It generally does absolutely anything except be open to life, right here, right now. The second level of higher consciousness, life happens by you. When it becomes too uncomfortable to live with this much powerlessness, you evolve into the belief that life is happening by you. Rather than being a victim to life, you believe you can control it. There can be a great feeling of personal power in this level of consciousness. It is a necessary step in moving out of the victimhood of the first stage of higher consciousness, but people get caught there. Men try to control women and vice versa. Religions try to control the masses. Countries try to control other countries. The majority of people try to control others who are not like them. Gay, different skin color, dissimilar religions. Most of all, we try to control ourselves, hoping to make ourselves be what we think we should be. There is an enormous amount of effort in this phase of higher consciousness. The storyteller believes that in order for anything good to happen, it has to make it happen. So it loves to set goals and feels very ashamed when it doesn't follow through. Just think of New Year's resolutions. The storyteller eventually evolves into intentions. Goals are where you use your mind to try to make things be the way you want them. With intentions, you work with feeling what you want to generate. None of this is bad or wrong. These are important tools to use on the path of awakening, and sometimes they actually work. But what would happen if you recognized that rather than trying to make things happen, opening into life will bring you what you most deeply long for? There is a relatively new form of control where you believe you can control your reality. In this form of control, the storyteller says that all I have to do is think the right thoughts, and I can make my life be the way I want it to be. The main difficulty with this is that, in the long run, it doesn't work. To think you can control life is like being a cork in the ocean, believing it can control the movement of the ocean. Yes, it does change the movement of the water right where it is, but it can't influence all the other powerful forces that make up the ocean. To stay caught in this phase of higher consciousness is to be cut off from the creative flow of life. Believing that you are in charge of life, you are mainly identified with your conceptual world, trying to create a reality rather than showing up for reality. When you have lived this level of consciousness long enough, you see the downside of it. First, you find yourself becoming fearful of your thoughts. I shouldn't be thinking this way because I will manifest this in my world. Second, it can also bring forth shame, for when it doesn't work the way the books promise, you think this is because you haven't done it right enough or well enough. Author and speaker Carolyn Myss, who used to teach that you could manifest what you want if you just think right, evolved beyond that. When she was in Seattle in the 1990s, she asked an audience of 600 to raise their hands if they had been able to create the reality they wanted. Not one person did. As you are reading about To You and By You, your belly may have tightened again. Allow any holding you discover there to melt away. Smile and let this softening move all the way down into your pelvic floor and around to your back. The third level of higher consciousness, life happens in you. You eventually begin to see that all of your reacting and controlling hasn't brought you the ease and joy you long for. Instead of being the victim to your life and or needing to make it be any particular way, which is the endless game of struggle, you begin to get an inkling that life is something to be listened to, opened to. This is where you start evolving into the next phase of higher consciousness, where life is happening in you. At this level of consciousness, you begin to realize something very startling. Most of the time, rather than experiencing life, you think about it, seeing only the thoughts in your head. When you experience life through your thoughts, you stop experiencing it as it is. Or, as the well-known French author Anaïs Nin once said, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." You project your spells onto yourself and others, rather than really seeing what is. When was the last time you truly saw a loved one's face? If you are honest with yourself, it has probably been a long time. It is in this phase of higher consciousness that you also realize that your suffering doesn't come from the experiences of your life. Instead, it comes from your stories about what is happening. It comes from inside of you. There could be a grey day and you're just fine. Then, on another grey day, you could be miserable. You may say it is because the day is grey, but it comes from your story about the day, not the day itself. This is where you begin to live what we've been calling the U-turn. You become less interested in being a victim to your life, or even trying to make it be any different than it is. You realize that the healing you long for comes when you turn your attention within. When you get to know the spells that are the source of your suffering, you can unhook from them and come back to life. Do a U-turn and ask, what is asking to be seen? Be curious about what sits here right now. The fourth level of higher consciousness, life happens for you. The more you become curious about what is happening rather than reacting and controlling, the more you come to a wonderful realization that your life is for you. Rather than life being something that is happening to you that you must control, you realize there are no ordinary moments, and you are one step further on the journey to higher consciousness. Life is not a random series of events. It is a highly intelligent unfolding that is putting you in the exact situations you need in order to see and unhook from the spells that keep you separate from its flow. No matter what is happening in your life, you finally understand that life knows what it is doing. At this level of consciousness, rather than life being something you have to mold and shape into what you want it to be. You begin to show up for life exactly as it is. Yes, the flow of life includes pain, loss, and death. But resisting the pains of life only turn them into suffering, and the suffering that comes from resistance is always much greater than directly experiencing your pain. Instead of tightening around your experiences and turning away from them, which only thickens your cloud bank of struggle, you bring your attention to your experience, whatever it is. Even little moments of curiosity about what is going on right now, sprinkled throughout your day, are powerful. Every time you respond rather than react to what is going on inside of you, what was formerly bound up begins to loosen. Remember, your natural state is free-flowing aliveness. When that aliveness gets trapped in the spells, your energy and joy dim. When the spells receive the light of your attentiveness, they let go, and the trapped energy flows freely, bringing with it the bliss of openness. Remember, life is set up to bring up what has been bound up so it can open up, to be freed up so you can show up for life. Close your eyes for a few moments and open into this living moment of your life. Hear it, sense it, feel it. This is the only moment that matters in your whole life, for it is the only moment where life is happening. The fifth level of higher consciousness, life happens through you. The For You phase of higher consciousness shows you that there is no such thing as an ordinary moment in your life, and helps you to see that life is speaking to you at all moments. Becoming curious about what you are experiencing and giving it the light of compassionate attention so it can let go, you evolve into the next level of consciousness of allowing life to move through you. This is where you recognize that life is trustable. It is not always likable, but it knows what it is doing. Imagine a life where you trust life implicitly. Every morning you wake up with a sense of adventure. Your belly is soft, your mind is curious, and your heart is open. Rather than struggling with life, you open to it, even when you are facing deep challenges. If you find yourself caught in reaction, you give your reaction the attention it needs to let go. Just as when you unkink a hose, the vibrant flow of energy that is life can now move freely through you, and this brings forth the joy and aliveness you so deeply long for. Creativity that you could never imagine on your own becomes clear to you, blessing yourself and everyone you meet with the wisdom of the meadow of life. You experience deep gratitude for absolutely everything. You see that your life is dependent on every ounce of creativity that has ever happened in the universe. You also see that all that has happened to you, even the difficult, has been a part of your journey back into life. Step by step, life is bringing you into higher consciousness, into the ability to be fully here for life. Now you can relax and show up for the adventure. As Cynthia Bourgeault so beautifully says in her book Mystical Hope, you find your way by being sensitively and sensually connected to exactly where you are, letting here reach out and lead you. The sixth level of higher consciousness, life is you. The more you can stand with life, allowing it to move through you rather than reacting to it or controlling it, the more you begin to get glimpses of the sixth level of consciousness in which you see that life is you. You are no longer a separate being. Instead, you merge completely back into the creative flow of life, understanding that everything, every rock, person, cloud, molecule, and ladybug, is you. You are life. As Eckhart Tolle said, you are not in the universe. You are the universe, an intrinsic part of it. Ultimately, you are not a person, but a focal point where the universe is becoming conscious of itself. What an amazing miracle! As you look closely at the 6 phases of higher consciousness, you will see that the first 2 are about fixing, changing, resisting, and trying to control life. Life is happening to you and by you. These phases are the world of your storyteller that doesn't want what is here, doesn't know how to open to life, and wants what is not here. I can have what I want if I just think right. Throughout both of these levels of consciousness, there is a veil between you and the living experience of life, because neither phase is about showing up for the creative river of life. The next two phases of higher consciousness are about using your mind to be curious about what is happening rather than resisting and controlling. In life is happening in you, you recognize that the storyteller inside of you is what separates you from life. So rather than trying to change anything, you become interested in what you are experiencing in any given moment. The more you are here for life, the easy and the difficult, the joyous and the sorrowful, unhooking from all of your spells, the more clear it becomes that life knows what it is doing and it is for you. The final two phases of higher consciousness are all about coming home to the meadow. The more you live the truth that life is for you, the more you relax into the flow, bringing you to the joy of life moving through you. As your cloud bank dissipates, you not only recognize the meadow again, you recognize that you are the meadow. Life is you and you are life. Most people live in the first two phases of higher consciousness, to you and by you, never knowing that right in the middle of these beliefs is a doorway into the last four. Life is waking you up from the contraction of the first two and into the opening of the last four. This is not only for your own healing, but for the healing of all beings, because as you see through your cloud bank of struggle, you become a healing presence in the world. There is a paradoxical truth that is important to acknowledge. Human beings are evolving from the first level of consciousness to the sixth. It is also true that most days you will experience a number of these phases. It is not about getting rid of any particular phase or making one better than the other. They are all part of life, and as you evolve, you will recognize and be able to embrace them all. In order to evolve into and through the last four levels of consciousness, the tattered threads of your trust of life need to be rewoven. You, like most people, don't trust life. It certainly feels untrustworthy. Life breaks your heart, brings illnesses to your body, and feels at times as though it gives you way more than you can handle. If you don't trust it, how can you show up for it, opening to all that it is offering you in every experience you have? How can you allow it to bring you, step by step, from unconsciousness into higher consciousness? There is a shift of perception that will help you immensely in relearning how to trust life, discovering that your life, rather than being something that needs to be controlled, is something that can be opened to. The shift is, life is smarter than you. Most of us are so caught in our storyteller that we live in a small world. What we pay attention to all day long is the cloud bank around our heads that is made out of our spells. We don't see what is going on here, and we definitely don't recognize the meadow. As a means of opening your awareness from the tight and small world of your storyteller into a more spacious perspective, I invite you into what I call a big picture exploration. Imagine you are sitting on the moon, looking at the beautiful blue-green jewel that is our planet. See it as a living being that has been unfolding for 4.5 billion years. Look beyond it into the black, velvety depth of space that is filled with more stars than there are grains of sand on every beach of the earth. Now bring your attention back to the earth floating in front of you, and as you drink in its beauty, recognize that absolutely everything on this planet was created from atoms that come from the stars, and that includes you. So everything you see is made out of stardust. Now in your imagination, see the evolution of Earth as a movie. At its inception, it was just a ball of gas and dust. Fast forward the movie in your mind's eye and see land and water appearing as the Earth's atmosphere forms. Then see life beginning to come together into various rudimentary beings in the seas. Now see life crawl out of the seas and onto the continents as a wave of green flows across the formerly barren land. Insects appear, animals emerge, and dinosaurs come and go. In the evolution of life on this planet, there was a time when there were no creatures with thumbs, so life could not be picked up to be used and explored. Now see life evolving a few million years ago into a form that had 2 arms with fingers and thumbs, along with the kind of brain that was interested in picking up life and exploring it. Life had never shown up in this way before. Now see early human beings coming together into tribes. as their frontal lobes became more complex, see them discovering language, figuring out how to use tools, cultivating the land, creating villages and towns, and then creating the wheel and ships that sail across the oceans. Fast forward the movie again to just a few hundred years ago. See one set of your great-great-great-grandparents being born, growing up, discovering one another, birthing one half of the partnership of your great-great-grandparents, and then disappearing back into mystery. This same cycle brought forth your grandparents, your parents, and then you. Now see yourself appearing out of mystery at the exact place on this planet where you were born. Watch yourself evolve from a baby to a young child, to a teenager, and then into an adult. As you are watching the movie of your life, bring it to this morning when you woke up, began your day, and eventually came to the moment where you are reading this article. Realize that all of the millions of moments of your life have unfolded to this moment, and this moment is the leading edge of the wave of evolution on this planet. Open to the knowing that this moment is no ordinary moment. Right here, right now, you are being given a very rare gift, the phenomenal gift of life. For a short slice of time you get to be here, then you too will dissolve back into mystery, and life will continue to unfold.